All right, let's talk about mindful eating, what it is, what everyone gets wrong about it, and how you can incorporate it into your life. So, first, before we talk about mindful eating, let's talk about mindless eating. So, I'm talking snacks before bedtime, bucket of popcorn during a movie, lunch at your desk while you're working, fast food while you drive. The list goes on, but you get the idea. Mindless eating is basically anytime you're not fully present and paying attention to the eating process. And for the average American, over half of the time spent eating is also spent doing other things at the same time. And that is not good news for your GI system or your waistline. Not being focused on eating leads to a lot of overeating, disconnecting from your body, ignoring your hunger and full cues, poorly digesting food, lots of inflammation in the body, and weight gain. How do we eat mindfully? I'm going to talk about three different aspects of what I think go into mindful eating, truly mindful eating. So, one aspect of eating, of mindful eating, is being present while you are eating. Any of this applies no matter what you're eating, whether it's birthday cake or, a really healthy salad or, candy. I don't care what it is. Before you eat, turn off all of your screens, your news, your emails, your updates. Those can all wait for a few moments while you sit down to eat. As you sit down to eat, make sure you're actually sitting down. Don't be standing or walking around or driving. Make sure you're sitting down away from your desk. Pause. Take a breath before you eat. So take a big breath and let it go. Sink into your body and slip into that parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system state. In the process of eating, make it a sensory experience. Look at your food, smell it. Using your other senses lets your GI system know that food is coming, so it'll start releasing digestive enzymes. As you take a bite, notice the textures and the taste. Focus on each bite, the smell, the taste, the texture. You'll start to notice which foods taste better than others, and you may be surprised with what you find. Another aspect of this is chewing your food. And this may seem like a given, but you'd be surprised how many people don't fully chew their food. So, whenever possible, make sure you're chewing until it's mush to make it easier to absorb nutrients. As you become more present while you're eating, you may find yourself naturally choosing different foods and making mealtime feel a little bit indulgent. All right, the second aspect of what mindful eating is being mindful of what you are eating. So this starts at the store as soon as you order your meal at a restaurant. We want to use the prefrontal cortex in our brains to choose in advance whenever you can. Because if we let our impulse brain in the moment to make our choices for us, we're going to choose a lot of things that wouldn't necessarily align with our bigger goals, right? Focusing more on what makes up the food versus what claims are on the package is important too. So look at the ingredient list or buy things without ingredients. So fruits, vegetables, all those sorts of things. You want to pay attention to your body after you eat. Which foods leave you feeling bloated? Do you get tired after you eat lunch? What foods have you eaten in the last, even up to a day or two that make your thoughts foggy? How much are you eating? Fill up your plate with about half of what you'd normally take. Try it out. Pause after that half is done, and then only take more if you're truly still hungry. You'd be surprised at how much food you can cut back just by being mindful of what you're eating and how much you're eating. Now, when you do these two things, the staying present while you're eating and paying attention to what you're eating, you will reduce overeating. You'll make improvements to your nutrition and you'll probably start feeling physically better. But to take it to the next level and to make the changes that you're making actually stick over time, we've got to get to the root of what's underneath it. And that is your mind and why you are eating. One of the reasons that we eat is cultural. We're socialized to believe that it's normal to eat 3 times a day, have dessert, snacks, bedtime snacks, all the things, right? Have you ever questioned whether that's actually best for you? Or are you mindlessly just following the rules because that's what everybody has always done, right? We're also taught at any celebration that there's going to be large amounts of food, and it's usually not food that leaves us feeling great. So think about it: birthdays, holidays, sports gatherings, graduations, cultural festivals, like you name it, there is food galore, right? And we've come to believe it's pretty normal to overeat in the name of entertainment and celebration. So, have you ever questioned this? We like to eat because it makes us feel good. We've got food cues around us that remind us how important it is to our brains to eat the foods that give us serotonin and dopamine and make us feel good, the feel good chemicals, right? The more you do that, the harder it is to resist. So it's like brain is pressing that button that makes it feel very urgent to eat sugar, salt, and fat. And it can feel like you're out of control when you're around food. So, what can you do about that part? The simplest thing to start out with is pausing and asking yourself, am I hungry right now? Before you start eating. And also maybe follow it up with, why am I going to eat this? Either one of those questions can help you raise your self awareness. And it is totally okay to skip a meal every now and again if you're not actually hungry at that time. None of these questions are meant to be judgmental or cause you to shame yourself. It's just information. And what we want is honesty, because maybe you're eating because you got some bad news about somebody close to you and you're using it to cope with negative emotions. Maybe it's because you're stressed out and you're trying to avoid thinking about that deadline that you have coming up at work. Maybe you're distracting yourself from the dread of doing laundry or vacuuming or doing other chores, right? Or maybe you're just really hungry because you missed lunch while you were running around at your kid's soccer tournament all day. What we want to do is bring awareness to the reasons why we're eating, right? This will help you understand your motivation so you have control over it. So, my own personal rules include asking, do I like the reason I'm about to do this? Right. I have found a lot of power in deciding that I don't want to use food when it's about my emotions. Right. And maybe if you notice that if you're choosing to eat for any reason other than I'm genuinely hungry, you have the opportunity to get curious and allow yourself to process whatever reason came up and maybe find a different way to either work through it or cope with the emotions that you have. So think about it. How much more powerful would you feel if you knew you could deal with your emotions and whatever is going on in your life without using food to cope? So when you tune in like this and you combine all those three aspects, so slowing down before you eat, taking a breath, being mindful of how your food tastes and how much of it's on your plate, and knowing and liking your reasons for eating, you can naturally start to make different decisions for yourself, and you won't have to rely on willpower to meet and exceed your goals.